A Quincy woman who pled guilty to reckless driving on October 9th of last year was sentenced today. 55-year-old Nancy Vonderhaar had been charged with aggravated reckless driving with disregard for the safety of people, leaving the scene of a personal injury crash, aggravated driving under the influence, and operating an uninsured motor vehicle. The last three charges were dropped as part of a plea agreement. WGM Zeke Shapiro was in court today and has more on the verdict.
Nancy Vonderhaar was emotional as Judge Holly Hens handed down a 3-year sentence with credit for time served.
She's accepted that, she's accepted her responsibility, and she's accepted what she's done.
What Vonderhaar did, according to the prosecution, was drive 50 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone in October of last year, causing severe injuries to 56-year-old Jennifer Carlson. In a victim impact statement, Carlson said, quote, "I will never be the grandmother I hope to become." The prosecution on the case said Carlson had lost her job because of the injuries she suffered, and her daughter was forced to sell her home to cover medical costs. Vonderhaar's attorney felt differently about the incarceration decision.
Nancy's got a lot of work to do. I think she'd be better off at home working and getting those things taken care of, but the judge didn't agree.
Vonderhaar's attorney, Mark Taylor, argued his client should have gotten probation to work to pay the more than $100,000 in restitution. However, Judge Hens did not feel the same way and said the mitigating circumstances did not outweigh the severity of Vonderhaar's crime. In Quincy, Zeke Shapiro, WGEM News.
Thank you, Zeke. Upon her release, Vonderhaar will serve an additional 6 months of supervised release. Jennifer Carlson's family declined to comment.